Hey guys, Corey here with Prescott Valley Gold and Silver, and in today's video I want to talk to you about something really important, and that's some of the different gold scams that are floating across the country right now. There's a lot of them out there. This particular one being about white gold. There's people out there, they're professionals, and they're career criminals, and what they do is they go from state to state, from shop to shop with big, bulky pieces like this. They sell them, they walk out with their cash, they take their cash, they take their check, and they move on. And these guys are making over $100,000 a year doing this. I mean, it's very tempting for these criminals to do it, and really, what's to stop them? So about this particular piece, this came in the shop a couple days ago. The guy had a convincing story about he lost his business and his wife is divorcing him and taking him for everything he's worth, blah, blah, blah. There's 101 different stories out there, some more convincing than others. Don't ever get sucked into a story like that. Yeah, we're compassionate by nature. We are, just as the human race, but just don't get sucked into stories like that. So this particular piece, as I said, it came in. It's marked as 18K. It passes the 18 gold acid test, but it's not 18K. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you some tests and show you just things to look out for so that when this comes into your shop tomorrow, you don't buy it. Because, I mean, look at this piece. This is a 65-gram piece. This is a couple $1,000 piece. If you're just getting your foot in the door, you're just starting out, business is slow, you buy one or two of these, you could get shut down. I mean, this is really real stuff. So looking at the first thing you want to do is when you're taking it, you want to hit it with the magnet. Sometimes it's real easy to get caught up, get excited. You had a slow week, you've had a slow month. They come in here with this big, nice, fancy looking piece. You get excited, you want to grab it, you want to play with it, you want to look at it. Don't do that. Hit it with the magnet first. Hitting this thing with the magnet, we see it's magnetic. Well, due to the nature of this type of bracelet, there are steel pins in here. So maybe it's the steel pins. Sure, that's possible. You look for the hallmark. This thing is marked as, get it in there. Well, take my word for it. It's marked as 18K, but as I said, it's not. So you hit it with the magnet. You say, okay, there might be some steel pins in it, what have you. With a piece this expensive, you have to tear this thing down. If you have to chop this thing into 50 pieces and test each and every one, it's worth it. It's worth safeguarding your hard-earned money. You know, we can't. The longer we let these guys get away with it, the more they're going to do it. And, you know, they don't care if it's going to shut you down. They don't care if you're not going to be able to pay your bills for the month because of it. They just don't care. So after hitting it with the magnet, you're going to want to break it down. We use Dremels in all of our shops. You're going to want to cut it in half with a Dremel. Here's one of your steel pins. Here's the piece that's separated off of the steel pin. Let's see what happens. Look, that's magnetic too. Gold's not magnetic. There are some exceptions to the rule. Every now and then, gold maple leaves. Every now and then I'll get in a necklace that's stamped right. It passes the test. It is gold and it's slightly magnetic. I don't know what the deal is. It happens, but very, very, very rarely. And on a piece like this, you just can't afford to take the risk. So that's magnetic right there. The acid test, like I said, this passes the acid test. The acid test isn't the end-all, be-all. It is very accurate, and if you know how to do it, you know how to read everything, it can be extremely accurate. However, next thing you need to look at a piece like this is how hard it is. Gold is a soft metal. When you hit this thing with the file, this thing is tough. This thing's almost impossible to file. Look at this. I don't know what this file is made out of, but I'm willing to bet that the metal in this is harder than the metal in this file, and it's not even filing down. When you, especially 18K, because there's more gold content, it's going to be softer. It's going to file real easily. It's going to leave gold dust. I don't know if I have any left over from the last few days. It's just going to litter it with gold dust because it's so soft. So if you get something in and it's super hard like this, that's an immediate red flag. Gold is not hard. Let's see, what else do we want to look at? I want to show you guys the acid test here. Like I said, this thing passes the acid test, and you know, I know there's a lot of guys that go out there and they're preoccupied, they're rushing things. They got a couple people in the store, and they don't take into account everything. So let's scratch this thing on the stone, and I want to show you what happens. All right, let's hit it with the 18K first. That's what it's marked as. It's marked as 18K. So you think, okay, good. You know, the 18K didn't eat through it. The 18K acid will eat through silver, it'll eat through other, it'll eat through copper, bronze, brass, what have you. So it must be 18K, right? No, not right. The 18K acid is finicky. Sometimes you need to let that, you do have to let that acid sit on the stone for at least 2 or 3 minutes. And something I've always noticed, and it might be different for you, is that the 18K almost always eventually eats through it. It'll eat about 75 to 80% of the way through it. You'll still be able to see it a little bit, but it should eat all the way through it. So that can also be a red flag. If your 18K acid just doesn't do anything, that can be a red flag in itself. Also, whenever you test white gold, hit it with the 22 karat acid. If the 22 karat acid doesn't dissolve it or it reacts oddly, then it's obviously not gold. So I want you guys to see what happens when we put the 22K acid on here. You throw the 22K acid on there and it immediately starts to turn yellow. You can see it smoking a little bit. I don't know what kind of chemical reaction is happening in there, but I've never seen it happen on a legitimate gold piece. By the end of this, it'll actually end up turning green, and it's just, it looks all kinds of weird. So there you have it, guys. This is something that if you're in this business, if you have a pawn shop, if you have a gold and silver shop, this is stuff that you're hopefully already aware of, and if you're not, you need to become familiar with it, because this is real stuff. It is happening, and you buy, like I said, you buy a couple of these, you spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on fake stuff, and you're gonna feel it, and it could shut you down.